naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraye. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurve Gaur Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are so fortunate and blessed to get opportunities to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam day after day, chapter after chapter, which is really nice. So we read till text number or chapter number 16 last time, the Bhagavata process of worship. So now we come on to the next chapter, which is entitled The Supreme Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. So, wonderful title. This is chapter 17 of Canto 8. So we will start with the summary. Yes, Raghu Prabhu, you want to read the summary?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, devotees. The Supreme Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. As explained in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being very pleased by the Payovrata ceremony performed by Aditi, appeared before her in full opulence. At her request, the Lord agreed to become her son. After Aditi performed the Payovrata ceremony for 12 continuous days, the Lord, who was certainly very pleased with her, appeared before her with 4 hands and dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, she immediately got up and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, she fell to the ground to offer respectful obeisances. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the super soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become her son by incarnating as a plenary expansion. He was already pleased by Kashyapa Muni's austerities, and thus he agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. After giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in the service of Kashyapa Muni, who could see by Samadhi that the Lord was within him and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who is known as Hiranyagarbha, understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus he offered prayers to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Back to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So, this is just a summary of this wonderful chapter. Aditi did the process of worship given by the husband, Guru, known as Payovrata sacrifice, which we studied, and as a result, she got the wonderful son, who was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's go in more details. Text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Ukta Saditi Rajan Swabharata Kashyapena Va Anva Atisthad Vratam Idam Dvadashaham Atandrita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Shukadev Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband Kashyap Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness, and in this way performed the Payovrata ritualistic ceremony. Purport: for advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow a bona fide one must follow the bona fide instructions of the teacher, and Aditi did this. She strictly followed the instructions of her husband and Guru, as confirmed in the Vedic injunctions, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. One should have complete faith in the Guru, one who helps the disciple make progress in the spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, he is a failure. Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Aditi very strictly followed the instructions of her husband and spiritual master, and thus she was successful. Hare Krishna. It's a very, very nice verse that in the previous chapter, primarily we read Aditi asked question, what is the process I need to do to fulfill my desires? And more than half of the chapter, Kashyap Muni was explaining the process. Now comes the real test. Getting instruction is one thing, but putting instructions into practice is a totally different thing. Aditi not just did that, Aditi did that with great sincerity and strictly followed the instructions. The word used are sincerely and strictly followed the instructions. So, as advised by the spiritual master. Without laziness, Prabhupada is so nicely mentioning, without laziness. So, atandrita. So we must also, it's a great lesson, we must also follow the instructions of our spiritual master, our Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, and preeminent Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada. That means chant sincerely, read his books, follow the other processes, follow the do's and don'ts strictly and without laziness. Because the nature of the conditioned soul is to be lazy. Very simple. I'm talking about myself. If in the materialistic life, no one has that higher motivation to get up early in the morning or to go out in the streets and chant the holy name. Who has that kind of motivation? No one. No one thinks beyond oneself or one's own family. That's it. Very, very rare people just go outside their family life even to think of the welfare of others. But in spiritual life, we have such higher motivation to please the Srila Prabhupada, to please Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. The devotees do so much. They're giving up the laziness, strictly following the orders. Having full faith, Prabhupada is mentioning. One should have faith in the Guru. And how will that faith nurture? The more we try, the more we take good association, the faith will nurture. The more we take bad association, or that side of faith will nurture. So, without pleasing Guru, there is no hope. But if one pleases Guru, there is all hope. If Guru is pleased, Krishna is pleased. So, very wonderful lesson that one must take the words of Guru as one's life and soul and sincerely and strictly try one's best to follow it. Let's go to the next verse, text 2 and 3. Would someone like to read who didn't get chance yet in the last 2 days? My friend Vikas Prabhu has joined. Would you like to read, Vikas Prabhu?
Yes, Sir Prabhu. Yeah. Chintayanti ekaya buddhya महापुरुषम ईश्वरम प्रग्रेन्द्रिय दुष्टाश्वन मानस बुद्धि सारथी मानस मानस चैक ग्रया बुद्ध्या भगवती अखिलात्मनि वासुदेवे समाधाय कचारा हापायव्रतम. So the translation is with full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payavrata. Purport: this is the process of Bhakti Yoga, Anya Bhilasita Sunyamam, Nan Karmadi Anavritam, Anukul Yena Krishnanu, Seelanam Bhaktir Uttama. Prabhu, can you scroll down? One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitful activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva Krishna, Sevaya Krishna Padaravindayo. Then the mind and senses will be controlled and one can engage himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very, very nice verse. So Aditi is 100% absorbed, full, undivided, undiverted attention. This is very, very important words. Chintayanti ekaya buddhaya. Thinking of only one thing, and that is the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's the formula to bring the mind and senses under control, to engage in the higher taste. Then the lower taste we can overcome. We have discussed this analogy many, many times. The senses represent the wild horses. The chariot driver represents the intelligence, and the lagam, that's the reins which can connect the horses, and the chariot driver holds that. That's the mind. So when our intelligence is situated at the lotus feet, when our heart, everything is situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, then the senses will cooperate. Easier said than done, but this is a practice. It takes a lot of practice. Because Arjuna asked, I can control the wind, but I can't control the mind. Krishna said, Abhyasena tu Kaunteya. So by Abhyasa and Vairagya, detachment from materialistic things and practicing to to do this, practicing. We may not be able to, I may not be able to do this, but I should not get sad about it, because we are practicing to do this. If we continue to practice to do this while chanting, while reading Bhagavatam, while cooking for Kṛṣṇa or doing other devotional service, then one day it will be possible. And I was just thinking, exactly same verse comes in Canto 8, Chapter 3, text number 1, Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. Let me open that for everyone so you can see. 8.3.1. Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evyam Vyavasthito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapyam Paramam Japyam Pragajanmani Anu Shikshitam. Quite similar consciousness there. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued. So here also Shukadeva Goswami is saying this. Thereafter the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learnt in his previous birth as in the Dumna, and he remembered that, which he remembered by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So the point here is that he is also fixed in his mind. And where is his mind fixed? In remembering the Supreme Lord. Where is Aditi's mind and heart fixed? In the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So very, very powerful. And Prabhupada is saying we don't have to do hatha yoga and yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, dhyan, dharana. It's a very difficult process to control mind. Go to Himalayas and stand on one leg and all that. No, that's not the recommended process for this day and age. We need to do what? Bhakti yoga. So the more sincerely we try, the better our practice will be, the better Krishna's mercy will be, and the more we'll be able to focus our mind and attention, especially in this day and age, because there are like tons of distraction, even while chanting. The mind will say, oh, let me look at the phone, let me look at my task, let me look at who is messaging me, WhatsApp, Facebook, Gmail, email, Yahoo Mail, Outlook, whatnot. There's an endless things. So we have to practice. We have to practice that. Simply tell that, okay, whatever, let's say we have dedicated to next 30 minutes, I will chant, so I'll chant. Or next hour I'll chant. Next 30 minutes, I'll read Bhagavatam. Unless the home is on fire, I will not move. So at least that we can try. Of course, we have to be mindful of time, place, situations, but therefore it is said to chant in the morning. The other things are silent. Kids are silent, they're sleeping. Office is sleeping. The world is sleeping. Therefore, getting up early and chanting is a very nice idea. And I'm not saying it. I just want to show everyone from this Vaishnava etiquette manual also. Would someone like to read this personal habit? Yes, Babu, Prabhu, please. This is your turn.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Personal habit. One who is serious about spiritual life should rise early in the morning, preferably before the Brahma Muhurta hour, 1.5 hours before sunrise. It is said in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 3.20.46, purport that time early in the morning, 1.5 hours before sunrise, is called Brahma Muhurta. During this Brahma Muhurta, spiritual activities are recommended. Spiritual activities performed earlier in the morning have a greater effect than in any other part of the day. After waking up, first brush your teeth. One should then bathe in a cold water, and after wearing fresh clothes, begin the day's sadhana. Bath should be taken after rising early in the morning. Long nap of more than an hour. Passing stool, excessively perspiring, or being contaminated in any way after visiting crematorium.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah, this is just some additional points and all we should take back. But more we wanted to focus on this. Giving up the laziness. If Aditi could do, then we all can also do. Correct? So getting up early and doing, that's the best time. I'm not saying it, scriptures are saying it. Prabhupada is saying it time and again and again. And even if one is just, even from one's own kind of intuitive thinking, one understand the mind is kind of fresh and the mind is least diverted in the morning hours. At the evening time, let's say at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., thoughts throughout the day, some our office, someone could have said something, some boss could have said something, the kids could have said something, neighbors could have said something. So many people we have interacted, the grocery store person could have said something. All those thoughts will keep going, churning in our mind. So the morning time is in the mode of more goodness. So we must take the best advantage of that. Get up early and do our sadhana after cleansing ourselves. Okay, let's move on to the next verse, which is text number 4. Would someone like to read this one? Yes, Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Pranam. Text 4. Tasya pradurabhutata Bhagavan Adi Purusha Pitavasas Chatur Bahur Shankachakra Gadadhara. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear King, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garments and bearing a conchal disc, club, and lotus in his 4 hands, then appeared before Aditi. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So, by her sincerity, by her seriousness, following the instructions of the spiritual master, giving up laziness, and being steadily engaged at the lotus feet of Lord, the Lord appears. Haribol. So you can at least learn. This is very easy. Pita Vasas Chatur Bahu. Bahu means arms, 4-armed form of Lord. Pita Vasas is yellow or Pitambara, same. Pita Vasa, Pitambara. So he is yellow garment. He wears a person. It's very, very clear. 4-armed form. Shankha Chakra Gadadhara. Dharan means to hold. So he holds Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and lotus flower also. Prabhupada is mentioning. So he holds these 4 items. Conch, Shankha means conch, Chakra means the disc, Sudarshan Chakra. Gada is the mace, club. So Pita Vasas Chatur Bahu, Shankha Chakra Gadadhara. The Lord appeared in the front of a person who sincerely focuses or absorbs one's mind and senses and intelligence at the lotus feet of the Lord, then the Lord will certainly appear when we sincerely absorb ourselves. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Grinantasya Svacheshtitam Kalena Narti Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. When one reads Bhagavatam sincerely or performs any act of devotional service, chanting sincerely, there are so many examples. Dhruva Maharaj chanting, where Prahlad Maharaj, the Lord appeared. Gajendra called out, the Lord appeared. Mata Draupadi called, the Lord appeared. Any Kunti Maharani called, Uttara Mata called, the Lord appears. So the Lord is a person. the way he will certainly reciprocate to the call of a devotee. If we call out with that sincerely, he will appear. But if we call out with half-heartedness, here Aditi Mata was not calling with half-heartedness. She was calling with undiverted attention. Anyabhilashtashan. She only wanted to see the Lord, not any demigod, not any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Complete focus, undiverted, 100% attention. So then the Lord certainly appears in the life of such a sincere soul. Okay, let's move on. Any other comments or questions before we move on? Yes, Sampada Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna. Tam netra gocharam vikshya sahasothaya sadaram nanama bhuvi kayena dandavat priti pivala. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectful obeisances. Hare Krishna. Back to you, Babuji.
Thank you so much. So she is overwhelmed by the emotion. Just imagine the Supreme Lord is right in front. What a state of transcendental emotion, overwhelmed by transcendental bliss. Right? You see this here. So even in material world, we can see this emotion. Just imagine a materialistic person may have a famous cricket star as his or her hero, or a Bollywood star, his or her hero. Won't they be kind of like overwhelmed with emotion if they see their famous cricket star or Bollywood star like face to face, one on one? Yes? You all agree with that? Let's say if someone, I don't want to name any people, I don't know what current actor is going on. So, but I think you got the point. Like I got a thumbs up from Sampada. So there'll be a state of, or someone gets anything what they really wanted. For someone it could be getting a dream job, for someone it could be getting a dream car, for someone it could be meeting with their dream hero or actress, or anything which they really wanted. Even on a material platform there will be some overwhelmed, they'll be overwhelmed by emotion. But just think about someone beautiful, someone wealthy, etc., meeting that person, which is a tiny spark of Krishna's splendor, insignificant spark of Krishna's splendor, a person would be so overwhelmed. What will be the magnitude of emotion of that ecstasy when one sees the Supreme Lord face to face? Can we imagine? We can't even imagine that. So she fell on the ground, at once stood up, and then fell to the ground like a rod. So basically, she was in ecstasy. Couldn't control her emotion, but yet she offered respectful obeisance to the Supreme Lord. Even in her ecstasy, she didn't forget about the etiquette. Right? The first thing we see, we have discussed time and again, the first thing when we go to the temple or anything, we offer Dandavat Pranam to the devotees, to Prabhupada, and to the deities. It's not that in ecstasy we forget the etiquette, or then we may take it for granted or take it cheaply. So we must never forget the etiquette. Okay, text number 6. Yes, Ekant Prabhu, want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Text 6. Sutaya Bhadanjalir iditum Sista Notesha Ananda Jala Kulekshana Bhuva Tushinam Pulaka Kritis Tad Darshan Nyatutswag Gatra Vipat Vipattuhu. Sorry, Prabhu. Translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Looks like
Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord. Because of because of transcendental bliss,
tears filled her eyes and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy and her body trembled. Thank you, Prabhuji.
thank you. All of you are in ecstasy. Very nice. Thank you for reading. So here we see wonderful symptoms of ecstasy, hair standing on end, tears of love of God flowing in her eyes, trembling, the body is trembling because she's seeing the Lord face to face, unable to offer prayers because it's like shocked in an astonishing way, so shocked and so overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. So her joy had no bounds. Okay. Yes, Babu Prabhu, want to read? Anyone wants to
Hare
read?
Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prityas Shanai Gudagajya Gira Harin Tustava Devi Aditi Kuru Baha Udvikshasti Sa Pibatva Chakusha Ramapatim Yanya Patim Jagapatim. Translation. O Maharaja Parikshit, the demigods Aditi then began offering her prayer to Supreme Personality of Godhead in the faltering voice and with a great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is the husband of Goddess of Fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the master and the Lord of entire universe. Purport. After observing the Payovrata, Aditi was certain that Lord had appeared before her as Ramapati, the husband of all good fortune, just to offer her son all opulence. She had performed the yajna of Payovrata under the direction of her husband, Kashyapa, and therefore she thought of the Lord as Yajnapati. She was completely satisfied to see the Master, the Lord of the entire universe, come before her to fulfill her desire. Yeah, Prabhuji. I think after doing the Payovrata, the Lord of the entire universe come in front of her and fulfilling her desire. She is kind of happy and is in a blissful condition. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So, following the directions of her spiritual master, Kashyap Muni, sincerely and strictly without laziness, she got the fruit. Actually, she hasn't got the fruit yet. Because why did she want to? Her goal was what? To get the Lord? No. Her goal was to get the home for the children. Correct? Like Dhruv Maharaj. His goal was not to see the Lord, but to get the kingdom. So, but the spiritual master like Narad Muni in that case and Kashyap Muni in this case are very intelligent. That Chaitanya Charitamrita, this verse is there, that the devotee, a child may ask something silly or least important from the father, but the father is intelligent. The father is not murkha. The father will not give him something which is not good for the child. Or the father will first give the right intelligence to the child to use that thing for the right cause rather than to harm one's own self. So similarly, here Kashyap Muni and Narad Muni in that Dhruv Maharaj story gave the right intelligence. Go to the Supreme Lord. All your desires will be fulfilled. But very interestingly, first she offered Dandavat Pranams. First she offered respects. Now she's going to begin to offer prayers to the Supreme Lord in a faltering voice. Why is the voice faltering? Because she's in great ecstasy. When a person is overwhelmed with emotions, it's like hard to say anything, right? So the words don't come out because someone is like mad or mad in spiritual love. So that's why her voice is also faltering with great love, not because of some sadness, not because of some other moroseness which she had before. You remember in the previous chapter we discussed she was morose. Her husband could sense that she was morose. But now she is just, it's another great lesson that seeing the Lord, all the moroseness will go away. All the perplexities will go away and one will be filled with great love. Drinking through her eyes, such a beautiful and metaphorical language. Drinking through her eyes. So we must also, it is said the great, one time I heard some senior Vaishnava saying that we must also try to just appreciate the Lord's beauty. When we go to the temple, should not be in hurry. Oh, just after offering our prayers, dandavat, etc., taking darshan, sometimes we should just sit and appreciate Lord's beauty. Wow, look at his beautiful lotus feet. Look at his thighs. Look at his navel. Look at his beautiful smile. He's always smiling. Look at the beautiful flowers on the hair. Look at the beautiful garland. Just appreciating, drinking the Lord's beauty from our eyes. So that's very, very nice. So she will offer prayers from next verse, which we will start tomorrow. But if anyone has any comments or additions or questions, we have a few minutes to discuss. Any comments, additions, questions? Anyone has any comments? Any reflections on this section?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, and this verse, she addressed the Lord with Ramapati, Yajnapati, and Jagatpati. So those are the three very important things she addressed, because Lord's offers Yajnapati is basically because perform the yajna, she has performed the yajna. It's like a payavrata. Jagatpati, we all know that he delivers he's the supreme personality of God. So, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. I know now the time is almost done, but if I forget, remind we will discuss this tomorrow. Etiquette within the temple, and what we should do when we enter the temple, how we should meditate upon the deities. It's a very important point. So I don't want to hurry, but we'll discuss this in detail tomorrow. As we are entering the temple, how we should conduct ourselves. Yes, Nandini Mataji, you want to share something?
Yes, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. His Holiness Radhanath Swami says in one of the lectures that like how nicely you explained about someone appearing in front of you, celebrity. And he explains that Beatles, when they used to appear, sometimes there would be, and they would touch somebody in the crowd. And there's a record that that person went and fainted, an ambulance was called. Or that person, somebody would try to get away little cloth of Beatles shirt or something. And, when that George Harrison came to Srila Prabhupada and said, I want to leave all this because, people in that caliber, they actually come to hate all that publicity and that. And they just want simple life sometimes. And he came, Prabhupada said, no, use it in Krishna's service. And look what happened, the My Sweet Lord and these songs came out and so many people started chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Hare Krishna. So even if we ever become famous or anything, we can give all that to Krishna. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you, Dandavats.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That's wonderful. Wonderful comment. Anything else before we stop for today? Okay, so we will pause here and discuss the etiquette for entering temple tomorrow and also talk about Mata Aditi's prayers to the Supreme Lord. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.